Hello, welcome to this video, Wisdom Wednesdays, which I'm starting today. This is the first episode, and I think I'm only doing it for the month of March. And how it's going to be done is it will be unidirectional, meaning I'm going to turn comments off. You can ask questions from the question box if you want to, but that's all you can do. And it's not an open mic. You cannot come on the live. So it will be just me making a video via live on a specific topic that's on my mind for this week or the last few days. It might be current events, it might be books that I'm reading, and it might even be a forecast for the week in the sense of just pattern recognition rather than fortune telling. And yeah, if you want to be on the live with me and ask questions and get guidance or clarity on a specific area of your life, you can request to be on the live. But in order to be on the live, you have to enroll in advance to be guided by me, and that's $20 to enroll in advance. So yeah, so it's just me talking and you listening is basically what it is. So today I want to talk about this book, Parable of the Sower. And I started a book club for this book, and I just we're halfway through at this point. We're a little bit over halfway through, and the top two things that I'm learning from this book so far is what I'm talking about in this video. So the first thing is the high cost of denial of reality. And the high cost of living in a world where we gaslight each other into not recognizing reality, especially people in power or people in privileged positions such as white people and especially white liberals, gaslighting people of color, indigenous people, black people, etc. And it's all interconnected because white supremacy or white pseudo-supremacy is the number one cause of climate change. It's behind fat phobia, it's behind transmisogyny. It's all interconnected because, for example, the gender binary is not only a social construct, it's a racial construct. It's a racist racial construct with deep ties to eugenics. So that's just one example. It goes back again to the white pseudo-supremacy. You can look it up. The high cost of denial. And white people love to keep blaming humans in general, partly because they still think they're the only humans on Earth and they don't see anybody else as human, and partly because the liberal view is to generalize everything and not take accountability by blaming humans in general on climate change. But in reality, even climate change goes back to white supremacy. So if you really care about the environment, about climate change, you have to go back to dismantling white supremacy. It all goes back to that, to white pseudo-supremacy, really delusional white pseudo-supremacy. So yeah, it does. So that's the high cost of denial. And the second thing is there's a company town in this book called Olivar, and Olivar is basically a fortress-like town with a lot of weapons and guards and a private security force to guard the town, almost like a private army, private military, and they hire indentured servants basically, where they work for room and board. They're not even paid basically to to live there, to work there, and yet things are so unstable in this story everywhere else, and it's unstable by design. In other words, it's failure by design where the government and corporations, like, they don't work to fix it. Instead, they're creating these private silos called Olivars. Olivar is one town, but there are several other towns like that. Whereas everywhere else is just chaos. It's just a lot of disease, people high on drugs, burning houses. There are people on the streets willing to kill each other for food. And then there are people in the suburbs who are like somewhere in the middle of the social class system. And they have walls too, and they have their own guns, but they're not rich. And they think they're protected because of their guns and their walls, but eventually uh, they lose everything, right? And that fear of loss, that uncertainty, that danger is constant, and it's so constant. That's why even people in the suburbs, they literally beg to go work in places like Oliver. And so, in terms of the global landscape, what I'm learning from the book is Oliver already exists in the world. What's being described in this book, the situation being described in the book, in terms of the global landscape, has already been happening for the last few decades. Because the United States is the Oliver of the world. That's why they go around waging economic warfare and narrative warfare on so many democracies and democratically elected governments all over the global south. They keep demonizing people who are trying to make change, real change, and trying to create a real democracy, direct democracy, not this sham of a democracy called representative democracy that's actually a distributed dictatorship like Gaddafi's, what Gaddafi was trying to do with Libya. I learned it when I actually read his own book, The Green Book, that he was actually demonized by the West for an agenda, for a specific agenda. Because he was trying to create a real democracy, a direct democracy for the first time in the world, among many other things that he was trying to do, such as bring back the gold standard, etc., and bring real economic equality. And so they especially demonize those types of figures in the world. And right now they're trying to demonize India. I won't get too much into that, but I really want you to really think critically about everything, every single country that's portrayed by Western media and even by Saudi Arabia and Qatar uh, as well. Networks like Al Jazeera uh, to because they were colonizers too. They colonized India for 800 years and created genocide after genocide. Same with China. In reality, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the United States are the four countries in the world that are right now the greatest threat to the world, and yet they're the least demonized. Think about that. Instead, they go around using even the people of those countries as sock puppets and Trojan horses to demonize those countries and destabilize those democracies and instigate coups, like the way they did that to my own home country. Again, part of why the coup was successful was Western media had been demonizing the democratically elected government there for years. And then China finally orchestrated the coup with Russia's help, possibly as well. So the point, though, is that destabilized, things are so bad that it forces the residents of those countries to literally beg, like countries like the United States, which actually caused those destabilization in the first place. That's the greatest irony, the greatest injustice, that people like us are forced to come to the country that caused the destabilization in the first place, and beg to live here, and then even here we struggle to survive. Still better than those countries because there is so unstable now because of what they've done. So the United States is literally the Oliver of the world. Damn, the video keeps pausing. So let me repeat that. The United States is the Oliver of the world. They're the company towns of the world. They're not the beacon of freedom and opportunities, just safer than those unstable countries that were ironically destabilized by the United States itself, with help, of course, from other countries such as the United Kingdom, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and China. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.